Hey guys, good afternoon from my garden in Haiti. You're kind of looking at the rocky part. But we are here in Haiti, and you're going to hear noises in the background of my neighbors, dogs passing. You might hear a rooster crowing, but that's life in Haiti. So enjoy the sounds, okay? Today I want to say, what can we learn from Mordica? Who does? I'm not going to say a sermon. This is an hour-and-a-half program here, guys. Who does a Bible study? Let's say that. On Mordica. I have not read one. I have not heard a sermon on Mordica. Maybe you have, but I have not. Not in my time frame. Now, I have read the story of Esther how many times? You girls with me? Like, we look up to Queen Esther. She was beautiful, and she was smart, and she was brave. And, like, you know, we think of that phrase, maybe you were born just for a time as this. Like, that's our go-to phrase for Queen Esther, right? And I've always thought about Queen Esther, and I always thought, man, she's brave. God, help me to be brave like Queen Esther. Help me to be wise like Queen Esther. Like, she listened to advice. I'm not always good about listening to advice. Help me. And I always positioned myself with Esther. And the last time I read it, God, like, pow, well, what about Mordica? You see, I work with youth. I work with youth here in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and up in the mountains of Petit-Guave. And our goal is to raise up leaders. And, you know, there's so much corruption in the Haitian government. And I know there's corruption all over the world, right? American government cannot say that it's not corrupt. But, you know, the corruption of the American government, at least we still have a lot of things that function. Where in Haiti, it's like, man, there's so much corruption, and like their schools, the kids can't go to the school half the time, and half of the roads are like off-roading in the middle of the city, and you know, people are so hungry all over, and there's not good health care. You know, there's just so much, and I often pray, God, raise up somebody who loves their people, who loves the people more than the power. And I've been praying that very specifically this last year especially. And I often pray, raise up a Nehemiah, God. Oh man, Nehemiah, he came back and he restored the country and he rebuilt and he didn't take anything for himself. And man, Nehemiah. Raise up a David, God. Oh, David loved the Lord. The Bible says David's a man after God's own heart. Raise up a man after your heart, Lord. You know, raise up a mighty warrior like David. Raise up a Gideon, Lord. He thought that he was nothing, but you made him this great warrior. Raise up a Deborah, you know, who saved her people. But never have I prayed, raise up a Mordica. Have you ever said that? Lord, help me to be like Mordica. Make my children like Mordica, Lord. Raise up a leader like Mordica. Have you ever prayed that? I haven't until now. So I'm kind of excited to tell you about this, okay? So let's go back and talk a little bit about the story of Esther. Most of us know it, right? If you've grown up in church, you know the story of Esther, right? The king shunned his other queen. She was sent away. He became lonely. They said, let's get a new queen. All these women were taken in the harem, and they all had a night with the king, and if they were picked, she would become queen. And along the way, Esther was picked, right? Esther was picked. Mordica, her cousin, became an official. Not anything high, just an official. So he was official at the gate. But what did Mordica do while he was at the gate? Mordecai's eyes were always open. His ears were always open. He was listening. He was seeing. Right? And he saw that two of the king's guards were gonna kill him. They had planned an assassination. An assassination, right? And I mean, Mordecai, he could have looked at that as like, man, this king has a heavy hand over the Jewish people. He took my cousin, and you know, I mean, man, in today's day, we could say he raped her because she didn't even have a choice to have sex with him, like, right? She just had to marry him, had to, whatever you want to call it. He could have been mad about those things, and he could have been like, yeah, I'm in on it. But he wasn't. What did he do? He went and told the right people. He went and told Queen Esther, this is what's happening. You need to let the king know or he's going to die. And Mordecai saved the king. so he took a position that he was given, a low official position, and he took it seriously. He listened. He was aware of what was going on, and he acted on it. He made sure his superiors knew he had their back. And so because of Mordecai, King Xerxes was saved. He didn't die, right? And then we have Haman. We all know Haman. And Haman was, at the time, second in command. And he loved his power. He was like, yeah, man, look at me. Here's my royal robe. When I pass by, please make sure you bow. And if you don't bow, I'm going to be pretty ticked off, right? He was all about the power. Power. I can crush you if I want to. The power, right? That's not Mordecai. I believe even at this point, Mordecai saw his chance to come up and to raise himself up into power. You know, his cousin is the queen, don't you think? He's like, oh yeah, I could get some power too. But I don't believe Mordecai had the same love of power as what Haman had. And let's look at the difference between those two guys. Haman was like, I am superior. I am second only to the king. You must bow down if I pass you. You must acknowledge that I am in the powerful position. You must respect my authority. You must, because I am, right? He loved the power. Do we sometimes love the power? Let's be honest. Sometimes I love the power over my children when they're little. It's like, no, just kidding. But right, like sometimes we get into a place of authority and we're like, whoa, what did you just say to me? I'm above you and you just talk to me like that? Excuse me? And we get like, that power holds us, right? Not that we shouldn't expect authority, like respect. I'm not saying that. But sometimes I think we get a little caught up. We get a little exaggerated in our power hungry. You know, I think that's even sometimes the problems we have in the streets, right? Anyways, let's get off of that. Haman was in love with the power. And he wanted everybody to bow down. Mordecai, I believe, would like that power, but he wouldn't sacrifice his own pride to get it. He wouldn't sacrifice his relationship with God to get it. You know, sometimes in the workforce or in our ministry or whatever, we kind of like schmooze the person up higher than us, right? Because we want them to see us. We want them to see that, oh, we're special. And he didn't schmooze Mordecai or Haman at all. Like, he was like, no, I'm not doing that. I have pride. I have respect. I know who I am. And I'm not going to give you what you think you deserve, because it's as a Jew, I'm to worship the Lord God. I'm to bow down to God only. I'm not going to bow down to a man, especially somebody like you, that's power hungry, you know. And so he took a position of, I believe he took a position of looking out for himself to raise himself up into power, but not at the cost of his own pride, his own spiritual welfare. Now, you know, in the end, where do we end up in the story? Haman gets so angry at Mordecai, and he's ready to, he builds a pole to, not to hang Mordecai on, but to impale him. They're gonna throw him off this building and impale him 75 feet high in the air, so everybody can see his body up there impaled. That's how much power hungry Haman is, and how angry he is because somebody doesn't respect his power. In the end, what happens? Queen Esther saves the Jewish people. Let's skip to it, guys. I know I'm rambling on. It's almost 10 minutes now. Queen Esther saves her people, right? She deserves accolades. She deserves praise. She stepped up. She faced fear. She faced death itself, because if she went to the king without being asked, she could be killed. Unless he raised his scepter, she could have died. But basically, she had two fears, right? She had the fear of dying later, or the fear of dying now. Because, like what Mordecai said, is listen, if they kill all the Jews, what makes you think just because you're the queen, you're not going to be killed, right? So which fear do you go after? I guess you go after the one, like, okay, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die, but I might as well try to save my people, right? So she took some really bold steps and saved her people. But then what happened to Mordecai? Mordecai was raised up into a very high position at the end of this story. And we only get 3 verses to find out about it. And it says, chapter 10, King Xerxes imposed a tribute throughout the empire, even to the distant coastal lands. His great achievements and the full account of the greatness of Mordecai, whom the king had promoted, are recorded in the books of the history of the kings of Media and Persia. Mordecai, the Jew, became the prime minister, with authority next to that of King Xerxes himself. So he basically got into Haman's spot, right? He was very great among the Jews, who held him in high esteem. Why? Why did they hold him in high esteem? Just because he was second to the king? No, they didn't give him respect because of his position. Let's see why they gave him respect. Because he continued to work for the good of his people and to speak up for the welfare of all their descendants. I think, one of the things we learn in leadership is that people can respect you because of your position, or they can respect you because of you and what you are doing. And Mordecai had a position, but that's not why the Jews respected him. The Jews respected Mordecai because he made the burden on them lighter. Like, they were a people under this king. They were not in their own country anymore. And there was a heavy yoke on this people. But Mordecai took his position that God has placed him into, and he used it to benefit the people underneath him. The people of the Jewish culture were blessed because of Mordecai's position. Because Mordecai, yes, I do believe he sought this position. I believe he sought it from the very beginning. But he didn't do it for himself. He did it for others. And I don't think power is bad. I don't think money is bad. I think we can go after power. I think we can go after position. I think we can go after money. But how are we using it? And Mordecai is an amazing, amazing example of how we should use it. Like, if you are raised up in a position of authority at your workplace, how are you using it? If you're put over a group of people, how are you using it? Are you using it to make the workplace better? Are you using it to make the ministry better? Are you using it to raise up other leaders? Or are you using it for your own benefit only? Mordecai raised up Esther. He helped her position herself in a way that as a queen, she had so much more power because Mordecai encouraged her, he taught her, he led her, and he didn't have to do that. But he helped other people. And when we lift up, the Bible says when we lift up other people, we will be lifted up too. It can't be all about us. That just really spoke to me in my ministry. In my positioning myself in a ministry so that people look at me and that I get the, oh wow, look at me. I am superior to others because I'm a missionary. I go out and save the world. I do this. Or am I put in my position to raise up young leaders? Am I putting myself into a position that helps up raise other missionaries up? Am I willing to work with other organizations? Is it all about me, or am I willing to help others raise up too? So we can look at our position. How are you positioned? Who can you help today? And then let's look at our funds. The Bible tells us that we are caretakers of God's money. And I'm excited this year. I'm super excited, you guys. I don't know how much I will make this year. I don't know, because I live on support donations, and if it comes in, it comes in, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I really don't have. I don't probably have enough to live on, but God has it in control, and I don't have to fear that. See, I used to fear that. I used to fear like, God, I need this money. God, I need this money. God, and now it's like, you know what, God, I want to pledge this amount of money to you. You help me make it. You help me be able to give you every single dollar that I've already pledged to you, because we are caretakers of God's money. And he says, okay, here's the funds. Now you live on that. And then the other stuff, I want you to take care of this person or that person, or give to your church, or send it to the mission field, but it's not all for you. And the power is not all for you. Use your power. Enjoy your power. Enjoy your place of position, but use it for other people. Make that money. Make those funds. Use it. Enjoy life. Go on vacations, but use it to bless others too. So where are we using our power? Where are we using our position? Where are we using our funds? How are we doing it to invest in other people's lives? I believe Mordecai is an amazing example for us, guys. He did not use power for his own gain only. Now, I don't think that he didn't enjoy that robe. I don't think, I bet you he had a pretty nice home, and he had probably a pool in his backyard, and the power was great, and he got to have, dinner with the king. That's pretty stinking awesome. But it wasn't all about him, and he used it in a way where he showed he loved people, and he used power rather than using people and loving power. The same thing goes with money. I've heard the same thing. Love people, use money, don't use people, and love money. Like, there's a way that we're to do it. And so Mordecai is a great example. So today, I want to encourage you, go out and be a Mordica.